All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be bringing you another hero deck profile. I'm going to keep it real with everyone for a second. I have not been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At all recently. I have not gone to my locals since June, and I just have not been feeling the urge to play the game. Besides Duel Links, I've been enjoying Duel Links, and I might make a channel for that. It's just sometimes at locals, people can be really toxic, and I just have a bunch of other things going on, and sometimes it's just not the right energy. But I'm going to get right into the deck profile, and I know people have been requesting these, so I'm excited to bring it to you. So we're going to start off with the Elemental Heroes. And once again, you're going to see some similarities from other profiles, but once again, we have 3 copies of Stratos. I think 3 copies of this card is mandatory, especially with the Wake Up Your Elemental Hero lines. You go through 3 so quickly, and it's just, as you always know, for building a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, if it's a 3 of, you want to see it in your opening hand, and you want to see Stratos in your opening hand, and popping back row is really essential with this card as well. So we have 2 Shadow Mist. A lot of people like to only play 1 now. I understand it. I don't think it's a bad move, but I still prefer to play 2 because I like to have 1 guaranteed into the deck, in the deck, because if you're only playing 1, you could hard draw it, and then that can shut you off from making Dark Law, and I still think Dark Law is an amazing card. And then we have the 1 Liquid Soldier and the 1 Neos as part of the favorite contact setup, obviously. And Liquid Soldier can help you extend and draw into stuff post side, as well as reviving a monster, having more bodies for link plays, potentially for plasma and stuff like that. So we're going to move on to Vision Heroes. You have the 3 copies of Ferris. Once again, this is arguably the best card in the deck besides maybe Fusion Destiny and A Hero Lives, because you just go full combo without even using your normal summon, and it's just insane. We have 1 Increase. I've played 1 Increase ever since I started to get more acclimated to the game, and I'm seeing that 2 has become more popular now, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I know someone who is really into mathematics and plays a hero deck as well, and they've run some of the numbers on Increase, and if I can find the post, I'm going to put up an image of it because I find it really interesting, the numbers on running 1. I think with Hero Lives and Fusion Destiny at 3, and also things like Thrust and Rhoda and Foolish Burial, you can still play even if you draw this card, and whenever you draw it, if you're playing 2, it's just a dead card. The best case scenario is it's a discard for Ferris, and with how competitive this game is, you really want to minimize the number of dead cards in your hand. So moving on, obviously the 2 copies of Vion. I have tried 3 before, but I think 2 is correct, obviously. It's just sometimes it can be nice to search it off of a Rhoda, and it's just good to have the 1 in your deck, obviously, so that the Vision Hero line is live. And then we're going to move on here to the Destiny Heroes. Those don't really need a lot of explanation. We have 2 copies of Mali, and it's funny that decks other than Hero are playing this now. I personally hate Tearlaments, and I'm not happy about it being successful. I am a bit of a hater about a lot of decks, and feel free to discuss any decks you don't like with me in the comments. Obviously, the 1 Denier. It's finally able to get the Secret Dark Angel, which I really like, and the copy of Plasma. Obviously, I think some people argue you could side Plasma, but it's really good against Expurely Noir, and it's the part of the end board when you're not making Dark Angel, and I go for Dark Angel every time unless I know I'm playing against a deck that doesn't care about it. But you want to use Plasma as an amazing going second card, because sometimes you're trying to play through a board and you can break the board but you don't OTK, and then just main phase 2 you set up Plasma and you take one of their monsters to make it big, so something like a Fenrir can't hit over it, and then you just sit on DP Plasma and run the board and win from there. So people underestimate it as a going second tool, especially if you hard draw it. It catches people by surprise. You just get the 3 bodies on board and then you win. 3 Ash. This is the only hand trap I play just because the engine for this deck is so big that you don't have a lot of room for hand traps, and I think most of the non-engine can be better spent on more effective cards in terms of maximizing the consistency of the deck and putting pressure on your opponent. Moving on to spells, we have the 3 Hero Lives and the 3 Fusion Destiny, the 2 best cards in the deck. You always want to see those in your opening hand. No further explanation needed. We have 2 copies of Mask Change. I don't anticipate this being a Droll format. If it is a Droll format, or if a lot of people at my locals like to main Droll, even if it's not that good based on the format, then I could bump it up to 3 so that you could turbo out Dark Law to blank Droll. But then you only need 2 now because of how searchable it is. off of Wake Up, and you don't want to open it every game, but sometimes it can be nice opening it because you can, if they have back row, then you can Stratos into Blast and obviously dodge some targeting removal. I'm back on 2 Poly. I played this around this time last year, I want to say. I've just found that I actually really like opening this card, and I've thought that for a while, and a lot of the time you can bait your opponent. Some people catch on and they are finally starting to respect this deck, and we don't care what others think, but that's just nice to see people respecting the deck. You know, it's the best deck and everything. So if they wait for Vine and they try to hit it with something like an Imperm or something, sometimes you do the Vision Hero line if you already hard drew this to bait any disruption, and it leads to easy full combo or easy OTK if you're going second. It's a great extender, and it's nice having 2, especially for the grind game if you can get yourself into one, because sometimes this deck has trouble. We're going to move on to some of the one-ofs. So you have the 1 Miracle Fusion. You have 1 Foolish. Foolish is a card that I can't believe people don't play in this deck. And you have the 1 Rhoda. These can both be 1-card starters, and Miracle Fusion is even better than it used to be because of how you can make Wake Up and just get access to whatever you want. I love Forbidden Droplet. I'm only playing 2. I was playing 3. I might go back to 3, but you'll see why in a second. And then I also have 2 Thrust, and I wanted to add a Thrust target. So I added 1 copy of Dark Ruler. So Thrust is so good for breaking boards. And a couple notes for this deck. I am considering adding several other Thrust targets, but I will get to that towards the end of the video. And then the 1 trap card I play is Favorite Contact, because I think in a deck like Hero, the way I like to play it, like, I'm all about consistency. So I don't like playing over 40 cards ever. Ever since I was a kid playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I just never wanted to go over 40 cards, and it just felt wrong for me. But I understand if people want to tech in some floodgates and some other board breakers and stuff like that. It's just like with this deck, you really don't want to open one of those hands that just loses to 1 hand trap or 1 interruption. You just feel so bad. So we're going to move on to the extra deck here, and then we'll get into the side deck after. So Elemental Hero is my favorites. You have the Wake Up. I'm thinking about picking up the Collector's Rare. You have Shining Neoswing, man. It's so awesome to see him in the deck. You have, shout out to the Matt, the Infernal Rage. You have the Sunrise, and you have the Absolute Zero. And boy, do these all look so sick together. So obviously, this does wonders for the deck. If you make it with Neos, you can tribute it to summon out Sunrise. Also, please, if you're new to the deck or you just have questions in general, please leave a comment, because I've made a lot of these now and most of them are similar. So I'm not going to analyze every single thing, but I'd be happy to answer any of your questions in the comments. So feel free to let me know. But you search Favorite Contact, you tag out into Sunrise, and then Sunrise gets you Miracle Fusion. So with this deck, you're so consistently ending on, and I can make a combo for this if you guys want me to, but obviously some other YouTubers have made it, and these cards have been out for a while. But what I like to do is end on DPE, Dark Claw, Dark Angel on my opponent's side of the field, and a set Favorite Contact for Shining Neoswing Man. And the way I do Dark Claw is I set the mask change, and then I mask change to Shadow Mist to get a search, and that way it plays around stuff. Well, I mean, you would play around Imperm in general with Dark Angel, but you can bait them into using something that would send to graveyard, and then you can really mess them up that way. So that's it for the Elemental Heroes. All essential. Linking off Ab-Zero is awesome. Popping it, whatever you want to do to break a board if they just have a ton of monsters that aren't doing anything, you're just going for game. Also, Wingman enables that too, in terms of popping everything. It's just an amazing card. You're going to go 2 Darklaw and Blast for the Masked Heroes. I really like Blast. It's my favorite artwork for Masked Heroes. I can't wait till the Rarity Collection comes out, because I just have the Super Darklaw. I've been wanting a higher rarity Darklaw, but I'm not about to buy the ulti for obvious reasons. That is pretty standard. I don't play Acid because the extra deck space is tight, and Shining Neoswing Man essentially does the same thing. Rounded out with Destiny Heroes. Because the timer increased from 40 to 45, I'm not too concerned with time anymore, so I'm not running Dystopia, but I like Dangerous because sometimes I just open those awkward hands, and then because I have access to Dangerous, it's also another Fusion Destiny target if you've already made DPE and you don't want Fusion Destiny to be dead. This enables you to make it off of like a Malicious and some Dark Effect monster. There's so many in this deck, obviously, and then you can go full combo, because then you can dump the Denier instead of Link plays. So that's it for the fusions, and then we're finally playing 5 links. You have the Wonder Driver, the Infernal Devicer, the 2 Cross Crusader, and then you have the Dread Decimator, which doesn't come up that often, but helps you push for lethal, and you don't really need that space for anything else. As of right now, we'll see what happens with the meta. Obviously, you need 2 of these because you go through this in your main combo. You could even argue a second driver. I've thought about that before, because you go through this in your main combo every time now. And this searches you Neos, and you go into this when you're trying to set up the combo. You can even do it going second if you know that you've played through all the disruption, or you know that Neos will force the rest of their disruption. So there are a lot of versatile cards in this deck right now, and I think these cards came out a while ago now, but I haven't had too much experience with them in person because I've been going to locals a lot. But Infernal Rage, Favorite Contact, Shining Neos Wingman, it does so much for the deck. So we're going to move on to the side. We're playing 3 Droll just for those matchups like Mannadium and any of those like crazy combo decks. It just searches a ton. There's some decks that just hard lose to Droll, including this one, unfortunately. And then for back row, we have the 2 Twin and the Harpy's Feather Duster. And then also for back row and just decks that don't really make Omni Negates. You could even put it in with decks that make Omni Negates. They don't make too many Spell Trap Negates. You can go for Evenly Matched. And then I think this card's kind of underrated right now, which is crazy because I think this card should be banned. You have 3D Barrier. Any game, I even will side it against stuff like Branded or any other fusion deck because you know if they can't fuse, they literally can't do anything. And I've always been a big fan. If you've watched some of my previous deck profiles, I've always been a big fan of Solemn Judgment in the side for this deck because you are making Dark Angel and you are turning off stuff like Evenly, you are turning off stuff like Imperm, all the spells and all the board breakers like Lightning Storm and Dark Ruler No More, and it's except for really Droplet. And this card is just fantastic because you can't make Dark Angel with every single hand, unfortunately, and we are going to see stuff like Bestials come back, which is really annoying, and I'm happy Magnum got hit at least. I think those cards should be hit even more. I think they're a really bad card design, and I don't like what they foreshadow for this game, but I love just having Solemn Judgment in any side deck for a deck that doesn't really end on any Omni Negates. So a couple notes, keep in mind, if you've noticed something in this deck profile where you think, hey, I think you might not be covering this matchup too well, please let me know. And I won't take any offense to that because I have not tested this deck. I've only been testing against my brother who plays Sprite. And I'll leave a link to his channel as well. But I haven't really been testing. I haven't played at all this format. I will come back to it soon. It does look like a pretty solid format. And I've been hearing about a lot of success. I've still been keeping up with the hero community. I've been hearing about people having success at nationals and some regionals, and that's really cool to see. Feel free to tell me how you guys do. I don't really use Facebook, but I do lurk in the Facebook group. And I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. Once again, to get back into the notes, I'm thinking about things like Herald of the Abyss as a thrust target for Purely, but you really don't need it because Plasma just outs the X Purely Noir because it's only unaffected by activated effects, and you have the Blanket Skill Drain to turn off the effect, and then you can just absorb whatever you want and win. But I'm also thinking about bumping a Droplet back to 3 even with the thrust in the side. It's just for right now, I don't know what I would cut because I don't want to cut the second poly or anything like that, and I think all my ratios are fine, and I want to keep it at 40. And you may have seen that I've been a fan of Floodgates in the past, but the thing with Floodgates is I don't think the best Floodgate heroes can play obviously is Rivalry, but I don't think that Rivalry is necessary in this format. I mean, I haven't really played, but just based on what I've observed, I think it would be almost kind of win more because what I like about Favorite Contact into Shining Neos Wingman is if you give your opponent Dark Angel and then you end on DPE and you set Favorite Contact for Shining Neos Wingman and maybe even have a Dark Claw, you have multiple forms of spot removal, so they are not keeping that Dark Angel on the field. So it's almost like those cards are acting as Rivalry to begin with. So I also just don't think it's good against decks like Unchained, Purely, Tearlaments, and stuff like that, which I expect to be really popular, obviously, as they will be. But there's also stuff like Gozen, which is interesting, but I don't think it's necessary right now. I think with how the Shining Neos Wingman line elevates this deck's end board, I don't think you need Floodgates to win. Heroes never relied on hard drawn Floodgates to win. And yeah, I'm talking about like cards like those continuous traps, but obviously you can always side a D-Barrier, and this will always be a great card and definitely should be banned. But I can't believe Anti-Spell didn't get banned. I'm just rambling for a minute, and I can't believe Shifter and Droll. Well, no, I didn't think Droll would get hit, but I wanted Shifter to get hit too, which is disappointing. But I don't think a lot of people will be playing it as much as they were in past formats, which is good. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. This is subject to change. Once I start going to locals and hopefully seeing some good results, I'd be happy to drop more deck profiles, maybe some combo videos. And I am thinking about making a Duel Links channel. Let me know if you want to see that because I do really like that game. But I know that most of you are trying to see TCG hero content because it's the best deck and it's the most fun thing to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, I am really happy that Konami decided to drop this mat online because it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive and it is one of the nicest mats I've ever seen. So please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more hero content, and I would love to talk to some of you in the comments. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you later.